Come and listen to this tale about a dude named Ted, standing there just looking at the tools in his shed. And then he got to thinking, just looking ain't no fun. Let's pick one up and plug it in and see if it'll run. It did. Pretty good, too. Now old Ted's a happy guy 'cause he's got a pretty wife. Figures if he plays it right, he'll keep that gal for life. That gal, her name is Beverly, and he's her hillbilly. He's sweet on her, she's sweet on him, they're happy as could be. She's Beverly, he's Hillbilly, he's Beverly's Hillbilly.
Okay, I'm not sure how this will turn out. Anyhow, it's the Hillbilly back at you, finally. It's been a while. I started editing my footage, or whatever you want to call it. It's not footage because it's digital. Anyway, I started editing the stuff on my little roller, and quite frankly, as I was watching it, it was worse than watching paint dry. So I took just the last three that kind of show it pretty much together, only not. Anyway, you'll see what I mean. I'm not counting it as a total failure because it was a learning experience, and learning is what it's about, isn't it? Anyway, I'm going to wind up rethinking everything, including making it out of metal rather than wood. And parts of it will have to be much more substantial than what I've been making them, although it's, yeah, you'll see. Anyway, I hope you enjoy it. Well, I've been playing a little bit. I made end pieces for here, for here. I'm looking with the wrong thing here. Anyway, out of plywood, but I got looking at that and I thought, you know, these plates here have to screw down on top. And I looked at that plywood and I said to myself, even if you drill that, that's going to split, isn't it? Because it doesn't seem to, it looks like it should be really good plywood, but it doesn't feel and act like really good plywood. So I used those pieces. I had actually built both of them for templates, so they didn't have to cipher everything over again, and I made these ones out of oak. Now, oak is probably not my very best choice either. I would have chosen rather to have used maple or something more close-grained. I didn't have any right to hand. Anyway, I'll make a little bit of an explanation here. I left a hole in there. Actually, there's a hole in both of them, but this side is the only side that it comes all the way through. And that's so that since this roller is mounted on a rod that's spring-loaded, if I need to take this apart, I don't have to take everything apart to get it out. I can just push a screwdriver in there and push the spring-loaded rod back and take the roller out. The other thing is, this is notched like this, so that this top roller, I'm going to have to make a new one of these too, it's not true enough, but so that it can slide down in there. Isn't that lovely? Anyway, yeah, so it can slide down in there like that. This, whoops, that's the right one. This plate goes on here like so with two screws that go into those countersunk holes. Oh, I've got to drill that out a little bit. Anyway, that's okay. And then this is threaded, and I put a 1/4-inch bolt down through here. This one's just flipped over sideways. Down through there to create downward pressure on this roller to pinch the metal as it goes through and hits this roller, which makes it turn up. Okay, anyway, that's where I am right now, just putting things together. I don't know if I showed you this or not. These, I might remake these too. These little blocks are just to hold this tab in place. This tab in turn holds this whole assembly, and when you turn this screw, since this bolt or this nut here is welded on, it draws this one back and forth. Right now it's adjusted all the way in. It's actually contacting that front roller. You can see it makes it turn when you turn that one. And yeah, they'll be adjustable on both ends. So this screw slides this assembly backwards and forward. This screw raises and lowers this roller to create more or less pressure or interference with the piece of metal that comes through to make it turn. Okay, clear as mud. Be back. Well, this whole thing is a bit of a learning experience for me. As you can see by evidence of the clamps that I've had to add to the thing, that I clearly haven't made it anywhere near strong enough. However, I am having some limited success. You can see that that piece that used to be flat like that is now curved like that, which is teaching me a few things about how tightly together things have to be. I may wind up doing this over again with some severe modifications as to the use of materials. I may just go straight to metal. That's probably what I'm going to have to do. I have some 1-inch square tube that I can make the base and the end pieces out of. Turns out this needs less adjustment than I thought it might. And this one, this roller, clearly has to be much tighter and closer than I thought it would. See, I've got it set so that I can move it quite a bit further out, when maybe really what I should be doing is trying to figure out how to move it further in and up. The other thing is that this bolt that I have just threaded into the end of this hardwood roller here is clearly not going to hold anything because, well, there's two reasons. One is that in order to roll that sheet of metal through here this way, I have to turn that thing in the wrong direction for keeping the threads tight, and so every time I try to push it through, it's going to be loosening the threads. So I may have to rethink some of that too. What I'm doing right now is simply rolling it with my hands, and well, that might be alright if I had hands that actually worked. My hands are pretty much pukered. But I had to put clamps on things to keep it from pushing apart, and this big clamp that goes across is because as I raised this roller wanted to jump out of the holes that I've got in here, so I may wind up making some adjustments there too. Oh, I don't know. All I want to do is roll little pieces of stuff. Well, it'd be a little wider than that probably. Well, it depends on how big a car or truck I'm making. For little fenders, for, you know, little toy cars and trucks I want to make for my grandchildren, and you know, possibly even for sale, except that when you start making things for sale, suddenly it stops being fun and it becomes a job, doesn't it? Anyway, so that's where it stands right now. I'm going to keep trying here a little bit. I'm going to raise this back roller up a little bit. I've still got lots that I can raise it. And with these clamps on here, it may just stay in there enough for me to try to see if I can get a tighter radius on that bent piece of metal. Anyway, I'll try. I'll let you see it later. Back at you. Well, as you can see, I've had a bit more success. It's rolling around there quite nicely. However, I learned something else. I do believe I may need to put a smaller roller in here, in this one, because it would appear that it uses the radius of this roller to achieve this radius, and it's in the action of rolling it back and forth, which I also discovered that seems to make it work, for me at least, for this. And to make a tighter radius, which I need, actually, a radius just a little bit smaller than that tin can makes a pretty good fender for a little truck or a little car. And I have used tin cans in the past. The problem is that nowadays they rarely make a tin can that has a ridge like that on the top and the bottom. And this one happens to have one. And so you wind up with a really, really sharp edge on here and here, and you wind up with one across here anyway. This is roof metal, and you know, I can squeeze that, and as long as I don't slide my thumb back and forth over it, it wouldn't cut me or anything. I ran it over the grinder just a little bit to take the edge off there, because I cut it with, this is a scrap piece that I cut with a saw. Yeah, that's a really nice smooth little radius. And like I said, I think, therefore I am, no, I think that I need a smaller roller to get a tighter radius. And see, this is, right now, with the present setup, it's not very good, I know. This is a trial. With the present setup, that is as close as I can get that roller. So, that said, I think that if you look down in there, can we? Yes. If you look down in there, let's see here. That, where did it go? Sorry, it's hard to find the, there we go. That roller, that center point for this roller here is very close to, if not above, the split between these two rollers. So that's what tells me that I probably am going to have to use a smaller roller for this one. And boy, if somebody could correct me on it or give me some direction, that would be wonderful. Anyway, that's about it for this test. I'm going to roll that piece out of there. And it's hard to do with one hand. I did it. There it is. It'd make a great little fender for one side of a little bit bigger outfit. Anyway, I guess if it was split, you could use it for two sides of a little bit bigger outfit. But I want tighter radiuses. And yeah, I need to be able to figure out how to make it go from a radius that's going this way to one that goes whoop that way instead as well. You know what I mean, because it needs to go turn out into the running board, right? Anyway, partial success. Partial success. I'll take that in and show it to Beverly. and we'll have verification of my hillbilly status. It's not quite straight either, is it? It's just a little bit cockeyed, but that's not bad. That's all right. Anyway, I'm going to see about putting all this together and getting it out to you. Out. See ya.
So now I guess this episode is all done and said. I would like to thank you all for visiting with Ted. If you'd like to see what's next, why not subscribe and see? It's not that hard, just click on it, it's easy as could be. Comment too, I'd like that.